welcome everyone who is on this call or who will listen to this in replay or on my website or on YouTube to the New Moon Solar Eclipse Activation Program. I have so many exciting things I want to share with you, and I hope I can get to all of them in the 40 to 45 minutes that I really told everyone I would only take you away from your Father's Day for this period of time. But there is a lot to share. So the moon. So the moon, which Cancer, this is the sign that rules the sign of Cancer is the moon. And I pay attention a lot to the moon, both in your workday and through my newsletters. You've been able to see how much attention I pay to allowing you to know when the moon is void of course, because it's not a time to be setting intentions. It's not a time to be having surgeries. It's not a time to be shopping, opening new businesses. So I pay attention to the moon, and the moon in one's natal chart is what gives you emotional security. And now for some of us, that security is a false security. And I'm going to get into that a little bit when we do the first activation. I'm going to do two activations today. One is going to be for your individual intentions for the next 6 months. And the second will be for you all to participate in creating the world that we want to have on this planet. Truly what Eckhart Tolle has called the new earth, Martin Root has called heaven on earth, that it is all possible, but it begins with the collapse of the old way. So the astrological sign of Cancer, why it's important to do ritual on the moon, the new moon and the full moon, is because it sets intention into place. Oprah Winfrey was interviewed quite recently by Jeff Weiner, who is the former CEO of LinkedIn. And the whole thrust of her interview was about intention. She said it was the secret to her mega success, that with everything she does, she looks at it before she makes a decision. What is my intention here? So on the new moon, we set new intentions for what we want to initiate. Just like farmers talk about in the Farmer's Almanac, what to plant between the new moon and the full moon. The same thing happens with projects. It's all the same. At the full moon, and in 2 weeks, we will have the second lunar eclipse this summer that will conjunct the United States chart. And I'm going to be talking a lot about that in that lunar eclipse, about how that is informed every 19 years, massive change, not just in this country, but in the entire world. Because what happens here affects the entire world. So, eclipses, yesterday a lot of people were doing programs where they were combining the solstice with the solar eclipse. And unless a solstice comes, the changing of the seasons comes after the new moon goes exact, you're putting intentions out into the universe that will not hold under a dark of the moon. So I put this up on Facebook actually yesterday, that although it may have been more convenient to do ritual on the solstice, and it's wonderful to do ritual to honor the change of seasons, it is not going to give you the power that doing intention work is on a solar eclipse for new intentions. So Cancer, the astrological sign of Cancer, lives somewhere inside of you. And in astrology, the archetype of Cancer is often guided by where it is in your natal chart. So, for example, if the most low vibration of the sign of Cancer is codependency, neediness, way too much attachment, a love of food to the point of turning to food for comfort. There are more chefs born under the sign of Cancer, by the way. Cancers also seek financial security. So one of the things at one time, I don't know if this has probably changed, but at one time there was a statistic that there were more millionaires and billionaires born under the sign of Cancer because they seek financial security. And security is something that the US, it really began with Benjamin Franklin, and when he decided that we wanted to sign the Declaration of Independence, which set up the US chart. And so security and safety has been a theme that every single time we've had these eclipses in Cancer and Capricorn, the theme of security arises, and we deal with this. And, I was looking back to the periods of time when this was most critical. And I went back to 1944, and boy, that was the Cancer Capricorn eclipses were present in July of 1944 when the general got the word that it was okay to go forward with the Manhattan Project and bomb, Japan. So this was the beginning of us taking a position as this in this country of what we constituted safety and security. Safety and security based on violence toward what we thought of as our enemy. Then we circuit back. So we go back forward to 1963, okay? I believe karma comes back around. In 1963, we lost our president. And it was interesting. I came across a quote from President Kennedy in which he said, "Let us never negotiate out of fear, but also let us never fear to negotiate." And we're going to see that theme showing up in our lives over and over again in the next few years. Where do you negotiate out of fear that abandons? And this is a very key thing with Cancer. Do you abandon yourself in the service of others? And when we do the activation, you're going to have an opportunity to throw into the fire of universal love, because that's what that fire is, being able to transmute old beliefs. So the old beliefs of what security has meant to you, false security. What have you given security to that is not serving you anymore? If you lost a job, for example, or you're having to really reconstruct, there are people like massage therapists and people at Pilates studios and whatnot are having to reconfigure how they're doing their work. It's about how to really redefine security. We've been getting this message of stay home, stay safe, stay home, stay safe. And I'm not saying that there wasn't a place for that. No question, it has reduced our carbon footprint. But it's important to take a look at what creates real safety. And real safety comes from, Cancer is the archetype of the mother. So how do you mother yourself? Whether you are male or female, this is an archetype that lives within you. It can show up in terms of if you, for example, have Cancer ruling the workplace, what your work habits and health habits are that are Cancerian. Do you overextend yourself? That's the negative vibration of Cancer, is to over love, to overextend, to overgive. Whereas the high frequency of Cancer is to first nurture and nourish the self. And I want to talk a little bit about that so that you can bring that into your intention, when we do the activation. And my feeling about these two, because they're collapsed a lot. And as I'm standing outside of Whole Foods, says up there, we nourish our people, Well, actually, maybe not so much. Food can be nourishing, but what really nourishes us is what nourishes the soul, the soul. What nurtures us can come through food, no question. If we are choosing high vibration food, lots of vegetables and fruits, lots of green into our diet, we really do nurture the body. But what nourishes the soul is being aligned with your soul's purpose. This is critical, very critical. I get emails constantly, and since I've been doing a lot of press for the release of my book, The Lifequake Miracle, I get an outpouring of people who are suffering in their jobs. And I mean, the range all the way from early 30s to late 60s of people in jobs that they no longer want to be in, but they also want to reinvent what they're doing. Like Act 3 people who are over age 55, they actually 15% of the workplace in the last 3 months will not be able to return, who are over the age of 55, women especially, will not be able to return to those jobs. So what are you doing to create an environment in which your soul becomes nourished? And I've seen this with my clients, and my one-on-one clients over and over again, that they're really having to take a look at what truly nourishes their soul. And when I'm going to be starting a membership program for people that will be meeting, live, and you'll have an opportunity to interact with me more than I'm able to do in these global activations, which will be ending after the lunar eclipse. I'm just going to be wanting to serve a select group of people who will be part of the membership site, and you'll be able to give me your specific intentions. I will say them out loud. We will burn them together in a burning bowl. We will ritualize all of this so that you can be truly in intention every single week, not just at a 6-month interval, such as today. So the other part of Cancer is like taking a look at relationships, our relationships, both your personal relationships with your family, with your children, with your partner. Do you give as much to yourself in terms of what your soul truly feels is authentic? And as we move into this eclipse of Sagittarius, which we started 2 weeks ago with the lunar eclipse, and we're going to be moving farther into that eclipse coming up in December, when the solar eclipse in Sagittarius is going to conjunct the moon of our president and oppose his sun. So that's going to be a critical time. Something's going to go down big. But for now, we're just about looking at what is your intention for what nourishes your soul and what nurtures your body. In the third section of this, after we do the personal intentions, I'm also going to give you a little medical astrology, because Cancer, the astrological sun sign of Cancer, rules the stomach and the breasts. And even if you're a man listening to this, there has been a 25% increase in male breast cancer. My brother, got male breast cancer, even though they say it's typically associated with men in their 60s, in his 40s after brain cancer. And we see them often connected to colon cancer. So the stomach breast connection is really strong. So I'm going to give you some actual tips from medical astrology for things to take and things to do that can really support healthy breasts and a healthy stomach. And then we'll end with the global intention. So as I move into this next piece here, which is going to be the first activation, I would invite you, I would invite you now to turn within, closing your eyes, placing both hands over your heart, if it's possible. And just take a moment where you're breathing deeply into your heart and your heart chakra. And you're just saying hello. Hello, heart. One of the tougher aspects of the astrological sign of Cancer is the abandoned child. So if any of you experienced a lack of mothering when you were a child, you may want to bring your inner child into this activation, because during an activation, what I'm doing shamanically by moving energy is releasing from your energy field old stuff that's no longer serving, that is serving a false sense of security, so that you can step into activating a higher frequency of you that knows how to create safety and security within, that is not guided by fear, but is guided by the heart and the heart's wisdom. So bringing your intention again to the heart, breathing into your heart, and seeing if there's a particular age of a child that wants to show up in your heart, who's in need of support and nurturing and has a voice that wants to be heard. Notice if that child has a message for you. And if you have trouble hearing messages, maybe the child will hand you something that's symbolic of his or her needs right now. And just keep breathing deeper. I use my breath a lot when I'm doing this work to keep moving our frequency up. So I also invite any of you who are comfortable with bringing in your spiritual guides to do that now. There's a group of guides that I particularly use who are the Ascended Masters that come from the Central Sun. So I'm invoking the energy of this assistance for all of your intentions. Yes, 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 yes. Notice how it feels when you call in either your higher wisdom. For some, maybe it's just their higher self. For others, it may be a whole tribe of spiritual guides. Notice how it feels when you do that. Now dropping back into your heart, and notice how the child feels when you activate your team. Does the child feel safer? More trusting of you? So allowing now to just see what wants to go into the light, into this frequency, this divine matrix. That is, you don't need any more. Just letting that go, letting that go. So as I'm talking, I'm working with you all. Just know that. So I was seeing in my own life how, because I was raised as an eldest child to give, and I'm a triple cancer, to give and not always have reciprocal relationships. So one of the things that I'm really paying attention to now is making sure all my relationships are reciprocal, including the people I serve, you know? So allowing for people to actually give back more, even in the professional arena, you know? So that's why I'm moving into more of a membership site. That's what we're going to be moving into after the lunar eclipse. So looking into your life and seeing if there's any place where there needs to be an upgrade of your relationship with that person or persons. And envisioning a scene, like we have this inner movie that goes on a lot. So envisioning a scene of you with that person or persons in your high frequency Cancerian state, which is you're nurturing yourself and you're nurturing the other. You're staying in your heart coherence so that the heart rules, not the brain to the heart, but the heart to the brain. By leaning back and listening to your heart. What would serve me in this moment as I deal with this person? Sometimes we can have a codependent relationship with a project or with a book that we're writing, in which we overwork ourselves and end up drained at the end of the day. So it can show up not just with people. I have a friend who mentioned to me that she hadn't slept well the night before, that her dog likes for her to sleep in a particular place, and when she tried to move so that it was more comfortable for her, the dog resisted and growled. So she didn't want to disturb her dog. Well, that's a codependent relationship with your dog, okay? If you're not getting sleep to make an animal feel comfortable, not a good thing. Because ultimately you're going to snap at your dog the next day. So the same thing happens with our coworkers and our children. Serving ourselves, you know, that there's that expression, if mama's happy, everybody's happy. So really looking at how to serve the mother within and the child within. And now I'm going to give you an opportunity to look at another vision of a you that's you're stepping into in this next 6 months that represents you doing work that nourishes your soul, you eating foods that nurtures your body, exercise that supports your lymphatic system, a spiritual practice that stills the mind and allows the heart to even get stronger in its, kind of guiding your decisions. So just allowing yourself to have a vision of that you 6 months from now. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Now we're going to amp up the frequency, take us a little bit higher. Just expanding how you nurture yourself and the projects that you want to have come into fruition in these next 6 months by Christmas time. Whatever you want to have, at least, get its liftoff. Sagittarius, which was where we will be in December, rules flight. So what is it you want to have lift off in these next 6 months? And it can be just an internal thing. It can be weight loss. It can be, getting healthy. It can be, again, a new career. So whatever it is that feels like you're wanting to go to another level in yourself, allow yourself to have that vision now. Something I'm getting that's coming through me, if it resonates for you, is a team. Having a team of people that allow you to do your work at a much higher level. That, one of the things about cancers is they can tend to feel they have to do everything themselves. It's the mother energy. So, as I said, men have this too in the workplace, micromanaging. So where is it that you can literally envision a team of people helping you? It could be with your children, it can be with your projects, but it can also be with your family. What kind of, village do you need better support from? So just in allowing that vision to come forward now. So we're infusing everyone's vision now. And then take 3 nice deep breaths once again, breathing into the heart. Yes. Breathing into the heart. Just really connecting with that intention that you just put forward. And then gently, slowly allow yourself to come back to the room. Notice how you feel. Notice how your body feels, how your emotional body feels. The place in our chart, I'm going to just move into this next phase of the program. I'm going to now give you some medical astrology tips for how to work with the part of your anatomy that Cancer rules. And Cancer rules, as I mentioned earlier, the breasts and the stomach. So many years ago, a wonderful naturopathic doctor by the name of Nan Fuchs, she's passed now, she wrote a book called The Nutrition Detective, told me if people just take 3 supplements, they will do themselves a huge service. And that is if you take digestive enzymes with food, because as we age, this specifically applies to people over 40 or people who have compromised guts, because I had a compromised gut at 30, so it's not just to older people. that taking digestive enzymes that have protease and lipase, that break down protein, carbohydrates, and fats will help you to absorb food. And when you're under stress and just watching the news or watching anything on the internet that induces fear is going to actually affect your gut. And the gut there's a brain, literally. We've discovered that there is truly another brain in the gut. There's a consciousness in our gut. So the degree to which if we're under stress, taking digestive enzymes actually helps you to break down the food you're eating so that you can absorb it. You can actually get the nutrition from it. So that's one thing, digestive enzymes with each meal. The second thing is probiotics. Again, stress and fear can definitely inhibit the healthy bacteria in our gut. So taking probiotics, a great, amount like 50 billion to 100 billion is important. Follow the directions. Some of them recommend taking with food, some away from food. But a probiotic will replenish the colon, and this so much affects your immune system, you have no idea. And the other thing that's really come on the scene are prebiotics. So you can take a look at prebiotics. I take a prebiotic that's got Jerusalem artichoke flour in it, for example. And we know that, that this is actually really good for the lining of the gut. Glutamine, which I mentioned in one of my programs recently, is another thing. It's an amino acid that helps to coat the lining of the gut and help with stress. People born under the sign of Cancer, of sun, rising, moon, tend to really focus their stress in their guts. But many people I've had as clients who have SIBO and all kinds of celiac disease and things like that, who are not cancers by sun sign, need to take really good care of their gut. And I would say we all do. One of the things that we're looking at that is one of the big pieces of good news about this virus that we've dealt with is the importance of the immune system and staying in normal weight. That the overweight individual, and that what they're looking at now, obesity is literally 30% or more on the BMI, the body mass index. So it's not that much that puts you into the obesity category. So taking a look at and know this, that when you aspire to be normal weight and to exercise, you're not just doing yourself a favor. You're actually supporting the entire planet. The degree to which we eat normally, that we don't eat for comfort, but we eat to support and nourish our bodies, informs the entire planet, because it affects, sanitation and waste, eating too much. And we have been a country that eats too much. If you go to Italy and you see what the portion sizes are of pasta on a plate versus what we have in America. The average American now eats, was stunning to me, on History 101, if you have a chance to watch this on Netflix. They tracked fast food from the beginning of fast food to now, and the average American now eats 3,800 calories a day. I asked a personal trainer I know, just curious, because he has 2 kids and a wife and little kids, which I'm talking, and I asked him how much he consumes a day, like how many calories did he think he consumed? He said somewhere between, he's in his mid-40s, he said somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000. And I said, and how much cardio do you do? And he said 40 to 45 minutes a day. He said, I'm not doing a lot of strength training, I'm just lifting my kids, but that's about it. And he's a slender, lean man, So 3,800 calories a day, when you consume fatty, high fat and high carb, simple carbohydrate food, you're going to put on the weight. And a lot of people have been complaining about weight gain during this, this last 3 months. This is an important thing to take on, is shedding the weight this summer, so that in the winter, if we do have a return and we do have this lineup of Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto coming back that was here in January, that we've never had on the planet before, coming back again in November, around the same time that flu season begins. So pretend you're preparing for a marathon this winter, right here, right now, doing everything you can to manage your emotions. I do believe that fear is the biggest virus that affects humans, honestly. And managing your emotions, managing the food you eat so that it really supports you nutritionally. The other thing that's a fun thing, that's my medical astrology tip that actually came through a nurse friend of mine who is a Cancer sun sign, that flapping, both men and women, if you have them, if you actually have breast tissue, if you don't have highly defined pecs as a man, flapping your breast, literally putting your hands underneath the breast at the breastbone and leaning over and flapping your breast for a minute or two actually starts the lymphatic system moving. And that's really the key, is having your lymphatic system in good working order to preventing breast cancer, as I said, in both men and women. So now I want to move into the last activation. And this activation is so important. I really do hope you stay on to give your energy toward creating the new vision on Earth. If we don't participate by holding a high vibration for the new evolutionary species that we're stepping into, if we don't hold that and we get sucked into the fear that comes from broadcast medium, the broadcast media, if we get sucked into that, it will affect us and obviously lower your vibration, and it will prevent you from being able to see the new vision. And I do believe that Mother Earth is going to be relentless. She wants us to reduce our carbon footprint. So if those who are going to be a part of the new Earth are going to be people who eat healthy, who exercise, who nurture and nourish themselves, who are doing work that they really love. This is going to be who really is part of this new vibration on the planet. So getting ready, I want to take on, because these eclipses, 1944, 1963, 2001, and now, all had violence connected to them. In those years, there was a major, obviously 1944 was the plan of, bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And then in 1963, we saw our president assassinated, which set up a whole series of assassinations. Malcolm X was, as I mentioned, assassinated in 65, and then Martin Luther King and Edward Kennedy in 1968. So it's time to end violence. So if you're open to taking that on as your group intention, that that in this new vibration that's coming onto the planet, that first always is preceded by chaos. We always see chaos. It's part of quantum theory. We always see chaos in the deconstruction before the reconstruction. So if you could put into this group intention the end of unnecessary violence on the planet. In 2001, when we had 9/11, 78 countries were affected at the World Trade Center. 3,000 people from 78 different countries. My brother, who had a trading company on Wall Street, lost an entire floor in the World Trade Center of his employees. So around the world, this reverberated because it affected people around the world through all the countries, that were affected. So we're now here in this same eclipse cycle once again that preceded 9/11. And I'm just going to invite you to hold whatever the vision, that however you want to do that vision of releasing a violent society and a violent mentality, beginning with yourself and holding, yourself accountable for violent thoughts and what you want to do with those violent thoughts, how you want to create inner harmony, which will definitely have a huge impact on your gut, to come back to the self, but really presenting an energy of a vision of a society and a world, a global tribe. Cancer rules the tribe. And what we're now seeing is how important it is for us to identify as a global tribe. so that we will end war, that war will be extinct. Because if war does not become extinct, we will become extinct. We are now facing this, what Bruce Lipton calls the sixth mass extinction that this planet has experienced. And we are expendable as humans. So let's see if we can allow through this activation to create a powerful intention. Coming back to Oprah Winfrey and how important intention is, a powerful intention for a new world. Going back into your heart, closing your eyes, and taking 3 nice deep breaths as you connect with your heart in a very, very deep and intentional and passionate, a passionate intention for the world, where war is no longer part of our reality. Where we don't see the color of someone's skin and make choices and decisions about that and beliefs. Where we don't make decisions based on someone's gender. Where we truly engage with unconditional love for each other and acceptance of differing points of view. And just holding that vision for a moment of that world that you're stepping into now. Taking nice deep breaths and just continuing to infuse that new earth with your intentions. And then slowly allowing yourself to come back to the room. And notice how you feel now. Is there anything that's bigger or deeper or qualitatively more expanded than the first activation we did? In 2 weeks, I will be giving the lunar eclipse activation, and I will be starting a membership site after that. So there'll be an opportunity. There's so many people who have reached out to me who can't afford to work with me individually. And I want to have you have an opportunity twice a month to have more personal interaction with me, where you can send your intentions in advance and we can burn those intentions, and I will say them out loud. If you want anonymously, but I will say them out loud. So we're sending into the vortex your energy, because there's something about the vocal. And of course, I pray on those, intentions. So that particular membership will be an opportunity to take a deeper dive with me on a monthly basis and allow for you to feel supported all the way through these 6 months into December when we move into the new energy. So thank you for joining me. It's been my pleasure. And as the vessel for the Cosmic Mother, I send you her love, because she uses me to, when I do this intention work and these activations, to love you up. So know that you are going out into your day loved by Mother Earth, by the Cosmic Mother, and all of the Divine Mother archetypes that we have available to us at any time. So now, Shalom, peace, aho.